It's time, part 4, top 3 songs from each Kiss studio album. This will be our fourth and final part from the Kiss catalog. And we finished the last video off with Hot in the Shade. And now we're opening up with Kiss Revenge. This came out in 1992, so a couple years before I entered high school. I got this album either from Columbia House or BMG Music. I remember the magazine where all the guys in Kiss are wearing these like black leather coats. They just look cool. I remember them looking cool at that age for me, and then much tougher than the 80s stuff that Kiss was wearing. Eric Carr passed away, cancer, on the last record. In comes Eric Singer, and been with Kiss pretty much consistently until Peter Criss comes back for a little bit. The rest of the Kiss career. Eric Singer's great, very versatile. I think all 3 drummers Kiss had are really, really strong. Eric Singer can sing as well. Very, very talented. One thing on this album is we see Vinnie Vincent reappear. He was a guitar player on Lick It Up, and he has quite a few songwriting credits, quite a bit with Gene Simmons, and then some with Paul Stanley too. So you could tell Vinnie Vincent brings this like edgier sound to Kiss, which is stellar. I love Revenge. If I didn't say that already, this is one of my favorite Kiss albums. It's going to be my top 3, I think. And so they just hit this one out of the park. A number of songs to choose from as my number 1, but we're going to start with Heart of Chrome. This is Paul Stanley on vocals. Starts with a really good riff, and it's just driving and more of the aggressive Paul Stanley music here. Bruce Kulick playing lead guitar, really, really strong. He's an excellent guitar player. I can't remember if Vincent co-wrote this one, but I'm pretty sure that he did. And so, yeah, great, excellent song. I've liked this one from the moment I heard it and all these years later. So been listening to this song for a long, long time. 30 plus years. And then the next song we're going to go with, and this is my clear-cut second song, is Spit. This one you have Gene Simmons primarily singing on this one, but then you have Paul Stanley coming in, so you get the parts where Gene's singing, then Paul's singing, and I just have always liked that mix in Kiss. A lot of my favorite songs, and I'll say like the top 15 songs is a duo like that when it's Gene and Paul singing. It's a moving song. It's like kind of grimy Kiss where they sing so much about hooking up with ladies, and this is just another one like that, but I think it's catchy. I like the beat of it, and Spit's coming in at number 2. Song number 3, been going between a couple here. Unholy, which is one of the singles. This is the I'll say the Gene Simmons as the demon. This is like the evil type song where it's in your face, it's dark, it's powerful. And then the other song I like is Domino. Has kind of like this twangy vibe to start it out. And Domino has grown on me years and years and years later. If we go back 15 years, I think I would take Unholy here, but I'm going to go with Domino. Top 3 from Revenge, excellent album, Heart of Chrome, Spit, and Domino with Gene Simmons on lead vocals. The next album released 5 years later is Carnival of Souls, The Final Sessions. I don't remember hearing about this one at all. Kiss didn't put out a lot of publicity because a lot of the track listings got released online, so people heard them before this came out, and so it seemed like Kiss rushed to get this one out there. This is clearly impacted by the rise of grunge music, and so Kiss has a different sound on this one. Not a awful record. It's not a bad record. I'm gonna say it's decent for what it is, for their attempt to grow the grunge route. I'll give them some credit for that. My favorite songs are going to be Master and Slave. This one has Paul Stanley, I believe, on the vocals. I think that's a good one, a good rocker. It's up-tempo, good stuff on here. And then I'm going to go I Confess. That's a Gene Simmons track, which again, it's one of those ones you want to get out there moving, you're out there driving, again, upbeat. There's the clear-cut Master and Slave, I Confess songs that I think on this one, and there's some ones that are, Childhood Ends, decent, it's a mellow song. But track number 3 is going to be The Jungle, Paul Stanley on vocals here. It's a more of a proggy type sound, but you can see this is one of their longer records, coming in at 12 songs. It's 1 hour and 1 minute. And on the last track, I Walk Alone, the first song with Bruce Kulick getting lead vocal. So kind of cool. Everybody in Kiss gets a chance to sing at least one time in the studio albums. But Master and Slave, I Confess, and Jungle rounding out the songs there on Carnival of Souls. And then we're gonna gets exciting. You're hearing, hey, Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, they're coming back in. Kiss is putting the makeup back on. And so we get Psycho Circus. Comes out a year later. And I actually think I got Psycho Circus before Carnival of Souls, if I'm not mistaken, because I just didn't hear about it. And then I find it later. But this record, a lot of publicity around it. They're going to go touring. They're going to have a circus outside the concert. And so just going to be a fun, wild ride like they like to do. The lead single, if I'm not mistaken, was Psycho Circus with Paul Stanley on vocals here. Classic Paul Stanley sound, and he always has a hit that's going to come off of the albums, and this was the hit. So really dig Psycho Circus. That's going to be one of my favorite songs. It's stayed within the set list pretty consistently over the years until they hung up their guitars and drumsticks and the microphone stands. So Psycho Circus, and then track number 2 is Within. This is Gene Simmons on vocals. This is track 2 also on this record, and it goes to the darker, powerful, brooding, building side of Gene Simmons when he's writing, and so I like that one a lot. Those 2 songs out of the gate, when I heard this, gave this record the first listen, they've stuck with me, and I've liked them ever since. And then for the third song, it was between We Are One. This is going to be a ballad with Gene Simmons. I always liked, but I'm going to go with You Wanted the Best. And you get all 4 guys singing on this one. It's primarily Gene, but each guy gets a chorus on this one. And it's just that homage to when Kiss opens a concert. You wanted the best, and you got the best. And so, yeah, that was a neat one. I think some people thought it was cheesy, but I digged Kiss doing that on this one. And this begins Kiss going back into the classic 70s, where you often have all 4 members of Kiss singing on here. And so you get Peter Criss singing a song, and then you get Ace Frehley singing a song on this one too. But unfortunately, these guys weren't getting along too well, so it didn't last very long. I ended up seeing them in concert in Anaheim, California at the Duck Pond with some buddies of mine. We took a road trip, and it was a great time. So I'm glad I was able to see Kiss live at least once in my life, but I've seen a ton of things online. They're on YouTube watching their videos. So then it goes a long time. Peter Criss out, Ace Frehley out. There's different tours that go on, and so Eric Singer comes back in the band, and then they bring in Tommy Thayer. I don't know why they didn't bring back Bruce Kulick. Maybe he wasn't interested, or they thought Thayer was more of that Ace Frehley because they've kept the makeup on. And so Sonic Boom released 2009. Modern Day Delilah is their lead single on this one. Again, Paul Stanley, that hit-making machine, writing the lead single for this album. I was excited for it. I think I had to buy it on Walmart or someplace. There was a limited edition. You could only get it in certain places, so I actually have this in digital copy. Now you can buy it online and on iTunes if you want to go that route. So we're going to go Modern Day Delilah. Good songs remained in the set list throughout the years. And then Say Yeah, track number 11, also a Paul Stanley song. You can, as you listen to it, you can just picture the audience singing the chorus. And so, a good song right there. And then it was between 2 songs for me here for Gene Simmons. It was between Hot and Cold and then Yes I Know Nobody's Perfect. But I like the groove on Yes I Know Nobody's Perfect. A little sea-songy, more lighthearted. But I think it's a good track, probably underrated track on this one. And then we have one more album that comes out, and this is Monster, the last studio record by Kiss. Same guys, you got Tommy Thayer playing Ace, the Spaceman, you got Eric Singer, the Catman, and then Gene and Paul doing Star Child and the Demon. So 2012, Monster comes out. Hell or Hallelujah is the lead single. Paul Stanley again on vocals. I know you're all surprised by that if you didn't know that already. And that's going to be my number 1 track on this song. Again, went on to it just fit. This was like classic Kiss sounding, this one and Sonic Boom. But yeah, this is, when I pull this record out, I make sure I listen to Hell or Hallelujah. That's a good one. And then the other song is just it's not even sexual innuendo, because it's pretty clear what Kiss wants to do is Take Me Down Below. So this is Gene and Paul singing, back and forth again like they did on Spit. One of my favorite songs on the Revenge record, and I've heard reviews that this song is cheesy, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not, but it's classic Kiss. They're talking about hooking up, and that's what they do. But I like the groove of it. I think it's catchy. I like the beat. I think it's just a fun song. And then my last song, it's coming down between Eat Your Heart Out. So Gene on vocals, And then, Shout Mercy, so it's Paul Stanley. Ah, man, it's a toss up. This is the last album and last song to pick. And which one do I want to go with? I'm going to go Shout Mercy. I was listening again last night, and I like the chorus of it. I like where they start singing the Shout Mercy part. Yeah, I wasn't disappointed in this record. When I compare it to the 70s, going to be on the lower end of the records, but I was happy to get this one. I was hoping we were going to get another studio album before Kiss hung it up, but there's a ton of live footage out there and some live records that I imagine are going to be released from other concerts. But I know vocally Paul wasn't able to hit all those notes anymore, but thank goodness we have such a large catalog of Kiss, because I love this band, have all the records, some on cassette, some on records, CDs, and then bought them digitally too. So yeah, good stuff from Kiss. Final 3 songs from Monster: Hell or Hallelujah, Take Me Down Below, and Shout Mercy. Right, Kiss fans, I'm curious to know who your favorite 3 songs are from each album, but hope you've enjoyed this, and see you real soon.